All right, we're doing common percentages. And think of this as sometimes you need to increase by a percentage, sometimes you need to decrease by a percentage. When you add taxes to something, you're basically increasing by a percentage. When you get a sale off, you're decreasing by a percentage. So this is where these are commonly used. So let's say something was $24 and you wanted to have a 10% increase. Well, first of all, here's $24 from here. That represents 100%. Now, 10%, we move the decimal, there's a invisible decimal behind the 4, over 1 time to divide it by 4. Sorry, divided by 1, divided by 10. So, the new number here is 2.4. This represents 10%. Now, because this has a decimal here, we'll have to add a decimal there. Now, we can add these two, make a 10% increase. So this adds here, decimal here, 2 plus 4 is 6, 2 here, and this represents 110%, or a 10% increase. All right, let's do the 5%. And again, we'll start off with 24, which is 100%. Move the decimal from here to here, and that will represent 10%, equals 2.4. 5% will be half of 10%, so it'll be 1.2. That's 5%. We add our decimal 0 there, and we begin to add. And this adds up to 2.5 and 2. Okay, so 25.2, and this represents 105%. Let's go to 20%. And once again, if you know your 10%, you get all the other percentages. So again, this is 24, which represents 100%. Now, 10% is your 2.4. If I were to double this, I would get 20%. So 2.4 double is 4.8. So 4.8 is 20%. I add a decimal here, a 0 there. We're going to add them. And so 0 and 8, add up to 8. New decimal. 4 plus 4 is 8, and 2. This represents 120%. A 15% increase. First, let's find 15%. We start with 24, which represents 100%. And to get my 15%, I'm going to look at my 10%, my 10% of my 5%. That's 2.4 and 1.2. I'm going to add these together, and I'm going to get 3.6. So 3.6 here. That's 15%. So we're going to add those. And we'll add a 0 here. So 0 and 6 makes 6. Decimal. 4 and 3 is 7. 2. 2. So this is 115%. If you need to treat this as money, you can add a 0 for the 100th place here. So with the 0 in the 100th place, you can see this is 40 cents. 0 in the 100th place, 20 cents. 0 in the 100th place here, 80 cents. And 0 here in the 100th place, 60 cents. That's if you need to represent it as money. All right, let's do the decreases. Okay, so what we have here is 24 representing 100%. 10%, we move the decimal over, and this becomes 2.4. And so I add a decimal of 0 here to match the 4 here. And this represents 10%. Well, since this is a decrease, we're going to have to subtract. We cannot take 4 from 0, so we have to borrow. So this 4 becomes a 3, and this becomes a 10. 4 from 10 leaves 6. That's your decimal. 2 from 3 leaves 1. And 2 remains. So 100% minus 10% leaves us with 90%. Next, we have 5% here. 24 represents 100%. So 2.4 represents 10%. So to get 5%, we take half of this. So half of 2 is 1, half of 4 is 2. So it's 1.2. And then we add a 0 here. This right here is now representing 5%. We're going to subtract these. You cannot take 2 from 0, so we'll borrow. This becomes a 3, and this becomes a 10. 2 from the 10 gives us 8. And the decimal. 1 from the 3 gives us 2. And then this 2 comes in. This represents 95% of the original. Okay. A 20% decrease. We have 24 as 100%. Now, we look back again at the 10%. 10% was 2.4. 20% would be twice this. So this will be 4.8 for the 24%. Oh, sorry, for the 20%. 4.8. This is 20%. I'll add a decimal here and a 0. And now we can subtract. We cannot take 8 from 0, so we're going to borrow. This becomes a 3, and this becomes a 10. 8 from 10 leaves 2. Your decimal. We cannot take 4 from 3. It's too small. So we borrow for the 2. It becomes a 1, and this becomes a 13. 4 from 13 leaves 9, and then 1 here. This represents 80% of the record. To achieve 15%, what we're going to do is take the 24 and look at 10%. 10% and the 5%. The 10% is 2.4, whereas the 5% is 1.2. We'll combine these to make 50%, which will be 3.6. That is 15%. We'll add a decimal and a 0 here, and we'll begin the process of subtraction. Okay. I cannot take 6 from 0, so I borrow from the 4. That makes it 3. This is now a 10. 6 from 10 leaves 4 in the decimal. 3 from 3 leaves 0 and the 2. This represents 85%. If you need to represent these as money, then you would go past the tenths to the 100ths. This will be 60 100ths. This will be 80 100ths. Otherwise, if you don't put 0 there, you see it as 8 tenths. Right now, this is 2 tenths. If I put this down here, this is 20 100ths. This is 4 tenths. Now it is 40 100ths.